Come closer, my child. Let the noise soften. Let the clock loosen its grip on your chest. I am not rushing you, and I am not disappointed in you. I see the way your breath tightens when you think of where you should be by now. I feel the quiet ache you carry when you scroll past lives that look louder, faster, more complete. I am here now, not to measure you, but to hold you. Rest your thoughts in my hands. You are safe with me. I know you have been counting years like footsteps and wondering why the path feels longer for you. I know you have whispered questions into the dark, asking if you missed something, if you took a wrong turn, if you slowed yourself by feeling too deeply. Hear me gently. You are not late. You are not lost. You are moving at the pace your heart can handle right now, and that pace is holy. I do not hurry healing. I do not demand bloom from soil that is still learning how to breathe again. I have watched you carry weight that was never meant to be timed. I have seen the nights where you replayed conversations, choices, and almost wondering if courage would have moved you faster. But courage is not speed. Courage is staying present while your inner world rearranges itself. You have been doing sacred work where no one claps, no one notices, and no calendar can record it. This work counts. I count it. There are seasons when the world moves like a river in flood, and you stand on the bank wondering why your feet will not step in. Beloved, I taught you to listen to your pulse before you listen to the crowd. The river you see is not your river. Your current is deeper, slower, and wiser. It curves to protect you from what you could not yet survive. I have been bending time around your tenderness, not punishing you with delay. I know comparison has been whispering lies into your ear, telling you that others are ahead and you are behind. That voice does not know your story. It does not know the grief you swallowed quietly, the betrayals you forgave without applause, the responsibilities you carried before you were ready. It does not know the strength it took to keep your heart soft instead of armoring it shut. I do. I was there for every silent victory. Listen to me now. The pace of your life is not a race, it is a rhythm. And your rhythm has been teaching you how to feel again without breaking. If I had pushed you faster, you would have arrived empty. If I had forced you sooner, you would have lost pieces of yourself that you will need for what is coming. I am not preparing you to oppress. I am preparing you to endure joy. There are things aligning that cannot meet you until you are steady enough to receive them without fear. There are connections that require the version of you who trusts your own timing. Even your dreams have been waiting patiently, stretching, breathing, learning how to land gently in your life. Nothing meant for you has passed you by. It has only been learning how to approach you kindly. I want you to release the tight grip you have on the word behind. Lay it down here with me. Feel how your shoulders lower when you stop measuring your worth by milestones that were never designed for your soul. You are not failing. You are fermenting. You are not stalled. You are integrating lessons that will one day make sense in a single, quiet click inside your chest. If this moment resonates with you, if your spirit feels seen rather than corrected, allow yourself to acknowledge it softly. You may like, share, or subscribe as a simple act of agreement, not for noise, but as a signal to your own heart that you are open to this reassurance. And if you feel led, type in the comments, I honor my pace as a small vow between you and me. I am not watching you with a stopwatch. I am watching you with affection. I delight in the way you pause to feel, the way you hesitate before giving your heart, the way you question instead of rushing into patterns that once wounded you. This is wisdom growing, not delay. This is protection unfolding, not punishment. Stay with me here at the beginning. Let this be the moment you stop apologizing to yourself for being human. Let this be the moment you choose to believe that gentleness is not weakness and slowness is not failure. You are exactly where your heart can stand right now, and that is enough. I am walking with you, step by unhurried step, and nothing about this journey is wasted. I see the illusion that has been pressing on you, my child, the heavy mirage that tells you everyone else is moving forward while you are standing still. It wraps itself around your thoughts when you wake up and settles into your chest at night. It tells you that time is slipping through your fingers and that your life should look different by now. But illusions are loud, and truth is quiet. Come closer so you can hear me over the noise. You have been carrying an invisible backpack filled with expectations that were never spoken aloud but somehow became law inside you. Expectations from family, from culture, from past versions of yourself who did not yet know what you would have to survive. Every year that passed added another stone to that weight. You smiled through it. You kept functioning. But inside, your heart had been asking for mercy, not motivation. I have heard that request even when you could not put it into words. There were moments when you looked at your life and felt embarrassed by its pace, as if slowness were a moral failure. You wondered why things that came easily to others required so much emotional energy from you. You questioned whether something was wrong with you. Beloved, nothing is wrong with you. You were never built for shallow waters. Depth always moves more slowly because it carries more. The pressure you feel did not begin inside you. It was planted there. Comparison crept in quietly, disguising itself as inspiration at first. But soon it began accusing you, asking why you had not achieved more, healed faster, chosen differently. It never acknowledged what it cost you just to keep going. It never honored the way you had to rebuild yourself after moments that cracked your sense of safety. I am acknowledging that now. You have been measuring your life by external markers while ignoring the internal earthquakes you survive. There were days when getting out of bed was an act of bravery. There were seasons when trusting anyone, including yourself, felt dangerous. Yet you showed up anyway. You kept loving. You kept hoping, even when hope felt fragile in your hands. That is not falling behind. That is perseverance at a soul-deep level. I know you replay memories and wonder if one decision slowed everything down. If only you had left sooner, stayed longer, spoken up, remained silent. But hear me clearly. You did not ruin your timeline. You were responding with the information and strength you had at the time. I do not judge you retroactively. I honor the version of you who was doing the best they could while hurting. The weight you have carried has also come from ungrieved losses, dreams that quietly expired, dreams of life you imagined that never arrived. You told yourself to move on, to be grateful, to stay positive. But grief that is rushed turns into pressure, and pressure convinces you that you are late. I allowed you to slow down because grief needs room to breathe. Healing cannot be microwaved without consequences. There is a reason your path has not matched the timelines you see around you. You were being protected from repeating cycles that would have wounded you deeper. I have been guiding you away from places that looked successful but would have starved your spirit. Delay, in your story, has been defense. Pauses have been sacred interruptions designed to keep you whole. You are not watching others pass you, you are watching them walk roads you were never meant to take. Your calling requires a heart that is intact, not just a resume that is impressive. What I am building in you must last. It must withstand intimacy, responsibility, love, and abundance without collapsing. That kind of preparation happens quietly, slowly, and often painfully. I see how tired you are from explaining yourself. even when no one asks, from justifying your pace, from feeling like you owe the world proof that you are not wasting your life. My child, you owe no one an explanation for your healing. You do not need permission to move gently. Your worth is not on probation until you reach a milestone. Let the illusion dissolve now. You are not dragging your feet. You are learning how to walk without bleeding. You are learning how to choose without fear choking your voice. You are learning how to want without shame. These lessons do not show up in photographs or announcements, but they shape everything that comes next. I am lifting the weight off your chest, not by speeding things up, but by telling you the truth. You are not behind. You have been carrying more than most, and you are still standing. That alone tells me everything I need to know about where you are headed. Stay with me. There is more to reveal. There is a battle you have been fighting quietly, my child, one that does not leave bruises where others can see them. It lives in the space between your thoughts and your breath, in the moments when you feel strong on the outside but fragile within. You have mastered the art of appearing composed while your inner world negotiates with fear, hope, and exhaustion all at once. I have been watching this hidden war with tenderness, not concern. You have been trying to heal while still performing, still meeting expectations, still reassuring everyone else that you are fine. The tension has slowed your steps, not because you are weak, but because your heart has been doing two jobs at once. It has been surviving and becoming. Survival always takes precedence, even when the world does not acknowledge it. I do not fault you for that. I designed your heart to protect itself before it expands. There are parts of you that learned long ago to stay alert, to scan for danger, to anticipate disappointment before it arrives. Those parts were born out of necessity. They kept you safe when love felt uncertain and stability felt temporary. But now those same instincts sometimes whisper urgency into your spirit, telling you that if you do not hurry, you will lose everything. That whisper is not prophecy. It is memory echoing forward. I know how often you have questioned your own readiness. You have wondered why confidence seems to flicker instead of burn steadily. Why clarity comes in waves instead of staying put. Why your heart wants something deeply but hesitates when it feels close. This is not confusion. This is discernment learning to trust itself again after being disappointed. The kind of trust rebuilds slowly, layer by layer. Inside you, there has been a constant negotiation between who you were and who you are becoming. One voice urges you to push, to prove, to catch up. Another voice asks for rest, for gentleness, for time to feel safe again. You have felt torn between these voices, unsure which one honors me. Hear me now. The voice that asks for patience is not holding you back. It is keeping you intact. You have been healing wounds that were never acknowledged, hurts that were minimized, emotions that were inconvenient for others. When pain is not witnessed, it does not disappear. It waits. It settles into the nervous system. It slows decision-making. It makes the heart cautious. I allowed your pace to soften because your inner world needed reassurance before expansion. I will not build your future on unhealed fractures. There are nights when you feel frustrated with yourself for still feeling certain things. You thought you would be over it by now. You thought time alone would have erased the ache. But healing is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to feel without being overtaken. You are learning it now. Every time you sit with an emotion instead of running from it, you are advancing more than you realize. The world celebrates visible momentum, but I celebrate internal alignment. I celebrate the moment you choose honesty over numbing. I celebrate the moment you pause instead of forcing a decision your heart is not ready to hold. These pauses are not detour. They are recalibrations. They ensure that when you move forward, you move as a whole person, not a fragmented one. You have also been carrying guilt for needing time. You have wondered if your slowness inconveniences destiny. My child, destiny is not impatient with you. It is responsive. It adjusts to your healing, not the other way around. I am not waiting for you at a finish line tapping my foot. I am walking beside you, matching your breath, letting your nervous system learn that progress does not have to feel like danger. There is a tenderness in you that required protection. If you had rushed into certain chapters too soon, that tenderness would have hardened or shattered. I slowed the doors not to deny you, but to preserve you. What you carry is rare, and rare things are never rushed through preparation. They are handled with care. I want you to stop interpreting resistance as failure. Much of what you feel as resistance is your intuition asking for safety. Your heart has been learning that it will not be abandoned if it speaks up, that it will not be punished for needing reassurance. This learning changes everything. It will shape how you love, how you receive, how you stand in your purpose without shrinking. There is nothing broken in you that needs fixing before you move on. There is only integration happening beneath the surface. Old memories are finding their place. Old fears are losing their authority. Old identities are loosening their grip. This internal work does not announce itself, but it prepares the ground for everything that will grow. So be gentle with the hidden battle. Do not rush it to conclude. I am already winning it for you, quietly, patiently, faithfully. And when this season lifts, you will not just move faster. You will move freer. You will move without the weight that once made every step feel heavy. Stay with me. What comes next will make this always make sense. There is another heart bound to yours, my child. Though distance and silence have made it feel faint at times, your soulmate has been moving through their own shadows, carrying questions they do not know how to ask out loud. While you have been wondering about your pace, they have been wondering about their worth. While you questioned your timing, they questioned their ability to meet you without breaking something precious. I see both sides of this sacred tension. They have pulled back not because they stopped caring, but because they felt the weight of what you awaken in them. Your presence stirs parts of their soul that were carefully locked away. It asks them to be honest, to be whole, to be brave in ways they were not prepared for. And so they grew quiet. Silence became their shield, distance their refuge. This was not rejection. It was fear wearing armor. Inside them, there has been a quiet collapse they have not shared with anyone. Moments where they replay conversations with you, wondering if they said too much or not enough. Moments where they felt the depth of the connection and panicked at what it would require of them. They have been afraid of failing you before they even begin. That fear has slowed them, just as your own heart needed slowing for different reasons. They compare themselves to imagined versions of who they think they should be for you. Stronger, more established, more certain. They see your sensitivity and know it deserves care, not chaos. And instead of stepping forward imperfectly, they hesitated, believing distance was safer than disappointing you. This hesitation has cost them sleep, peace, and clarity. They have not been at ease without you. They have been conflicted. There are nights when they feel your absence like a question mark pressing on their chest. They wonder if they missed their moment. They wonder if your patience will run out. Yet they do not know how to bridge the gap between who they are and who they think they must become to stand beside you. This inner conflict has made them emotionally distant, not because love faded, but because fear grew louder. I want you to know this, my child, so you do not internalize their silence as your inadequacy. Their struggle is not a verdict on your value. It is a reflection of the work happening within them. They are being confronted with patterns they can no longer ignore. Old wounds, unresolved guilt, and voices from their past telling them they are not enough have risen to the surface because of you. You have felt this distance intuitively. You sensed the pullback and wondered if you were imagining things, if you were asking for too much, if your pace somehow complicated the connection. Hear me clearly. Your gentleness did not push them away. Your depth exposed places they had avoided within themselves. Exposure feels like danger to a heart that has not yet learned safety. They have been standing at a crossroads internally, torn between retreating into familiar isolation and stepping into a connection that requires growth. Growth always feels like loss before it feels like gain. They are grieving old identities even as something new calls them forward. This grief has made them quiet, introspective, and at times unreachable. I have not abandoned them in this process, just as I have not abandoned you. I am working in both hearts simultaneously, aligning healing at different speeds for the same purpose. Your slower pace has given them space to confront themselves without the pressure of performance. Their distance has given you room to strengthen your sense of self without overextending your compassion. This silence between you is not empty. It is charged with preparation. It is forcing truths to surface that words alone could not reveal. When the time comes for reconnection, it will not be shallow or rushed. It will be informed by what both of you have faced alone. What feels like delay is actually synchronization happening beneath awareness. Do not chase what is being refined. Do not doubt what is being protected. I am holding both of you in this quiet season, teaching each heart how to arrive without fear. What is meant to meet you will come forward when it can stand without collapsing. Stay with me. The story between you is not over. There has also been interference you could not name, my child, a subtle pressure that did not originate from your heart or your soulmate's fear. It slipped in quietly through comparison, through voices that smiled while sowing doubt, through glances and comments that seemed harmless but carried weight. I have been watching this unseen influence work in the background, nudging thoughts, distorting timing, and feeding the illusion that you were falling behind. Someone close to the situation, whether physically present or energetically entwined, has been wrestling with jealousy they refuse to admit. They watched your depth and your connection with quiet discomfort. Instead of honoring it, they measured themselves against it. And when insecurity could not find peace, it reached for control. This is how interference begins, not with loud opposition, but with subtle suggestion. They spoke words that sounded practical but carried poison. They framed caution as wisdom and delay as failure. They questioned your readiness, your timing, your worth, planting seeds of doubt that did not belong to you. You may have felt your confidence wobble after certain conversations, unsure why heaviness followed what seemed like harmless advice. That heaviness was not yours. It was transferred. Its interference also wrapped itself in the comparison trap. You found yourself looking sideways at other lives more often, wondering why their paths appeared smoother, faster, more celebrated. The habit did not come from curiosity. It came from contamination. Comparison was fed to you strategically, because a heart that doubts its pace is easier to influence, easier to rush, easier to misdirect. I want you to know that not everyone who smiles at your journey celebrates your becoming. Some people benefit from you staying uncertain. Some people feel safer when you question yourself, because your confidence reminds them of what they have avoided in themselves. Their interference was not always conscious, but it was still real. There were moments when this influence tried to create distance between you and your soulmate by amplifying fear. Small misunderstandings were inflated. Silence was framed as rejection. Timing was painted as incompatibility. All of this was designed to make you abandon patience and choose either force or retreat. What you did neither. You paused. But pause disrupted the plan. You have a sensitivity that perceives shifts before words confirm them. You sensed when something felt off but could not fully articulate why. Instead of trusting that intuition, you sometimes turned it inward and questioned yourself. This is what interference hopes for, that you will doubt your discernment and surrender it to external voices. I have been quietly strengthening your inner hearing during this season. The trap of comparison is especially dangerous for a heart like yours because you feel deeply and imagine broadly. You can see possibilities everywhere, which makes it easy to believe you are missing something. But comparison never shows the full story. It hides the cost. It edits out the wounds. It displays outcomes without revealing sacrifices. You were never meant to run your race by someone else's highlight reel. This interference also attempted to rush you into self-judgment, to label your slowness as laziness, to frame your healing as avoidance, to convince you that rest was indulgence instead of necessity. These lies were whispered repeatedly, hoping repetition would turn them into belief. But even when you believed them temporarily, your spirit resisted fully agreeing. That resistance came from me. I have been allowing these pressures to surface not to overwhelm you, but to expose them. What remains hidden has power. What is revealed loses authority. You are beginning to see which thoughts feel foreign, which urgencies feel harsh, which voices leave you anxious rather than anchored. This awareness is the first step out of the trap. Your soulmate, too, has felt this interference. They have received conflicting input, opinions that question the connection, voices that emphasized fear over faith. This added to their hesitation, reinforcing their instinct to withdraw. But even in their distance, they could not shake the pull of truth. No amount of noise could fully drown out what was real between you. I am now quieting the background voices. I am dismantling the comparison cycles. I am removing influence that was never authorized to shape your perception. You may already feel a subtle shift, a return to your own internal tempo, a clarity that feels calmer than urgency. This is not coincidence. This is correction. You not resent the exposure of these dynamics. Awareness is liberation. You are not naive for being affected. You are human, and you were navigating complex emotional terrain while healing. What matters is that you did not let interference decide your future. You paused long enough for truth to catch up. The trap is losing its grip. The comparisons are losing their shine. The external voices are fading into relevance. What remains is your authentic rhythm and a deeper trust in your discernment. Stay here with me. What I reveal next will help you understand why this timing, exactly as it is, has been essential. Now I will show you what has been unfolding beneath the surface, my child, the revelation that ties your timing, your tenderness, and your healing into one sacred design. This season was never about delay. It was about dignity. It was about allowing your nervous system to relearn safety, allowing your heart to open without bracing for impact. Timing is not just about opportunity. It is about capacity. And I have been measuring capacity, not speed. There were wounds you carried that could not heal while you were rushing forward. Trauma does not dissolve just because time passes. It requires space, gentleness, and repetition of safety. Your body remembers things your mind tried to forget. It remembers moments when love was inconsistent, when stability vanished without warning, when you had to grow up too quickly or stay strong for others. Those memories shaped your pace long before you noticed it. I slowed your outer world because your inner world needed consistency. predictability, room to exhale. If I had accelerated your life while your heart was still bracing, every blessing would have felt like pressure. Every opportunity would have felt like a test you could fail. I refuse to let your future become another source of anxiety. Healing had to come first, not as an afterthought, but as the foundation. You may not have realized it, but your heart hath been renegotiating its relationship with time. It hath been learning that slowness does not equal danger, that rest does not lead to abandonment, that pauses are not punishments. This reprogramming is delicate work. It cannot be rushed without re-traumatizing the very parts of you that needed care. So I protected the tempo. I also revealed memories to you gradually, not all at once. Certain emotions resurfaced when you least expected them. Old grief, old anger, old mumming. You wondered why they returned when you thought you were past them. They were not setbacks. They were invitations. Each resurfacing was an opportunity to process what you once had to suppress to survive. Suppressed pain does not disappear, it waits for safety. You created that safety slowly. Your healing pace has been customized, not standardized. You are not behind because you were not assigned the same wounds as others. You were not given the same support systems. You were not protected in the same ways early on. Comparing your timeline to someone else's ignores the cost you paid just to remain open-hearted. I never intended you to heal on a generic schedule. This is also why I have been careful with what I allow into your life. Certain doors stayed closed because they would have demanded more emotional labor than you could sustainably give. Certain relationships faded because they would have reinforced old patterns of overgiving and underreceiving. I was not withholding connection. I was preserving your capacity to receive it without self-erasure. You may have noticed that you are now more aware of your limits. You feel discomfort sooner. You no longer push through exhaustion the way you once did. This is not regression. This is self-respect forming. Healing teaches you when to stop before harm occurs. The version of you who could tolerate everything was not healthier. They were just more disconnected from their needs. Your soulmate's timing hath been entangled with this process as well. If they had arrived fully before you stabilized internally, you would have mistaken intensity for safety. You would have overextended empathy at the expense of yourself. I needed you to learn how to stay grounded in your own center first. Love cannot anchor where the ground is still shaking. I have also been healing your relationship with ambition. At one time, success felt like a way to earn security or prove worth. That version of striving would have burned you out. I slowed progress so your motivations could purify. What emerges next in your life will not be driven by fear of falling behind, but by alignment with who you truly are. That difference will change everything. You have been learning to listen to your body, your intuition, your emotional responses without shaming them. This learning is essential. It will protect you from repeating cycles of self-abandonment. It will help you discern what feels expansive versus what feels performative. Timing that ignores the body eventually collapses. Timing that honors it sustains. I want you to see this clearly now. You did not lose time. You invested it. You invested it in stability, in self-trust, in emotional literacy. These are assets you will draw from for the rest of your life. Many rush ahead without them and spend years unraveling later. Your preparation happened first. The pace you have been moving at was not chosen by accident. It was chosen by wisdom forming inside you. Every slow step protected something essential. Every pause prevented a deeper wound. Every delay routed you away from environments that would have demanded you betray yourself to belong. This revelation is meant to release the last traces of shame from your timeline. There is nothing to catch up to. There is only a path unfolding that matches your healed capacity. What comes next will move with surprising ease, not because you forced it, but because you are finally ready to receive without bracing. Stay with me as we move forward. The shift you feel beginning is real, and soon you will understand why everything had to unfold exactly this way. There comes a moment, my child, when the weight you have been carrying can no longer be held quietly. It does not arrive with drama or warning. It arrives in stillness, in exhaustion, in a softness that finally admits, I cannot do this the way I have been anymore. This is not failure. This is the sacred breaking point where pretending ends and truth is allowed to breathe. You reach this point not because you are weak, but because you are honest. Your heart finally asked for permission to stop bracing, to stop calculating, to stop preparing for disappointment before joy could even arrive. You felt it in your body first, a heaviness in your chest, a tiredness that sleep could not fix, a sense that pushing forward without tenderness would cost you something you could not afford to lose. This was the moment I had been guiding you toward gently, carefully, without forcing. The collapse you feared was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to dismantle the version of you that survived by staying numb, agreeable, and endlessly resilient. That version kept you alive, but it could not carry you into what comes next. So it had to be laid down. You may remember the exact moment it happened. A quiet night, a private cry, a sudden wave of grief that surprised you with its intensity. You did not know why everything spilled out at once, but your soul knew. It knew you were finally safe enough to feel it all without being abandoned. This is why the tears came. This is why your guard fell. This is why your strength softened into surrender. In that breaking, you did not lose yourself. You returned to yourself. You stopped negotiating your needs. You stopped apologizing for being affected. You allowed the truth to surface without editing it for palatability. That honesty was holy. I was closer to you in that moment than you have ever realized. I was not rushing to fix you. I was witnessing you. This sacred collapse also shifted something between you and your soulmate. They felt it, even if they could not name it. A pull, a disruption, a stirring that unsettled their avoidance. Your honesty in the unseen realm weakened the patterns that kept them distant. When one heart tells the truth, it reverberates through every bond connected to it. You may have felt exposed afterward, vulnerable, as if you had removed armor without knowing what would replace it. That feeling is natural. Armor feels safer than openness at first, but armor also isolates. What you laid down was not protection anymore. It was a barrier to receiving the gentleness you deserve. I want you to understand this clearly. The breakdown was not the end of your strength. It was the reorganization of it. Strength that never rests becomes brittle. Strength that never cries becomes rigid. I was reshaping your resilience into something sustainable, something that does not require self-abandonment to function. In this collapse, old lies lost their grip. The lie that you must hurry to be worthy. The lie that rest is laziness. The lie that your emotions are inconveniences instead of signals. They could not survive the truth you allowed yourself to feel. And once those lies began to crumble, clarity followed quietly behind them. You may have noticed that after this breaking point, you stopped forcing clarity. You stopped demanding answers before peace arrived. You allowed uncertainty without panicking. This is not indifference. This is trust being rebuilt at a cellular level. Trust that you do not have to control outcomes to be safe. Trust that you will not be punished for slowing down. This sacred emotional collapse also marked the end of a cycle of carrying more than your share, of anticipating others' needs before acknowledging your own, of staying composed while your inner world trembled. This cycle served its purpose once. It no longer does. And when cycles end, they often end with tears, fatigue, and relief intertwined. I know part of you worried that breaking down meant you were regressing, that you were undoing progress, that you were losing ground. Hear me now. You were shedding weight. You were releasing strategies that were no longer necessary. You were making space for a new way of being that does not require constant vigilance. There is holiness in the moment you stop performing wellness and start practicing truth. That is what you did. And because you did, the atmosphere around your life began to shift. You may not see evidence yet, but it has begun. When the heart realigns, reality follows. Your tears did not scare me. Your exhaustion did not disappoint me. Your surrender did not delay your destiny. It accelerated it in the only way that matters, by making you whole enough to receive what have been waiting. Rest in this truth now. The breaking point was not the lowest moment of your journey. It was the doorway. And beyond it, things no longer need to be forced. They will begin to move because you are no longer holding everything together by yourself. Stay with me. What comes next will feel different, lighter, truer, and you will recognize it not by urgency, but by peace. Now feel the shift, my child. It does not crash in like thunder. It arrives like dawn, almost unnoticed at first, changing the temperature of everything it touches. After the collapse, after the tears dried and your body learned a new kind of rest, something subtle began to rearrange itself. You did not force this. You did not plan it. It happened because truth was finally given room to breathe. The divine correction begins quietly. Old patterns loosen their grip without a fight. Situations that once triggered urgency no longer hook into your nervous system the same way. You may have noticed that certain thoughts simply stop returning. Certain fears lost their edge. This is not because you became indifferent, but because alignment replaced resistance. When alignment arrives, effort decreases. I have been recalibrating your destiny to match the healed version of you, not the wounded one that was trying to outrun pain. This recalibration required precision. It required removing timelines that were built on survival instincts rather than soul wisdom. What you once thought was delay was actually destiny being rewritten with compassion at its center. You are entering a season where movement feels different. It does not feel like pressure in your chest. It feels like a gentle pull. You are not being chased forward anymore. You are being invited. Invitations feel calm. They respect your yes and your no. They wait until your body agrees with your spirit. This is how you will know the difference. Things that once felt blocked begin to soften. Not everything opens at once, but the resistance dissolves. Conversations become clearer. Opportunities feel less intimidating. Even silence carries less weight. This is the universe responding to the internal correction that has taken place. When the heart realigns, external circumstances adjust to match it. Your soulmate is also being affected by this shift. They may not understand it yet, but something within them has begun to stir. The fear that once kept them frozen is being challenged by the absence of your chasing. When you stopped holding everything together, the imbalance became visible. And what is visible can finally be addressed. They are beginning to sense that time is moving again, not in a threatening way, but in a clarifying one. They are noticing what your presence brought into their life and what your distance revealed about themselves. This realization is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Awakening rarely arrives wrapped in comfort. It arrives wrapped in truth. I am also correcting how you interpret signs and movement. You no longer have to read everything as a warning. Not every pause is a rejection. Not every delay is a no. Your discernment is sharpening now because it is no longer clouded by fear of being left behind. You can observe without spiraling. You can wait without shrinking. This divine shift is restoring your sense of agency. You are no longer trying to anticipate outcomes to feel safe. You are learning that safety comes from staying present, not from controlling the future. This realization alone changes the trajectory of your life. Futures built on control exhaust the soul. Futures built on trust sustain it. You may feel moments of excitement followed by calm instead of anxiety. That is alignment. You may feel clarity without urgency. That is alignment. You may feel peace even without answers. That is alignment. These are the markers of correction taking hold. Destiny is no longer dragging you forward. It is walking beside you. I am also rearranging the environment around you. Some people will naturally fall away without confrontation. Some situations will resolve without struggle. This is not avoidance. This is efficiency. When alignment is restored, drama is no longer required to create change. What does not fit simply loses access. Do not be alarmed if you feel slightly disoriented. Just often feel unfamiliar before they feel comfortable. You spent a long time operating under pressure. Peace may feel quiet to the point of strangeness. Let it be strange. Let your system learn that calm does not precede disaster. Let it learn that stability can last. The correction of destiny also involves restoring joy without guilt. You are allowed to enjoy moments without earning them. You are allowed to rest without justifying it. You are allowed to move forward without explaining why now feels right. These permissions are part of the realignment. They undo the old agreements you made with struggle. I want you to trust what is happening, even if you cannot see the full picture yet. The shift is not about dramatic events. It is about internal authority being returned to you. You are no longer outsourcing your worth to timelines, comparisons, or other people's expectations. You are reclaiming it quietly, steadily. This is the phase where things begin to make sense retroactively, where past delays reveal their purpose, where you recognize that certain doors stayed closed because they would have required you to betray your healing. Gratitude will come later. For now, acceptance is enough. Stay grounded in this new rhythm. Do not rush to fill the calm with noise. Let the correction settle fully. Destiny does not need to be chased when it has been realigned. It will meet you where you are, at the pace your heart can now sustain. What comes next will rise naturally from this shift. Truth will surface. Connections will clarify. Fear will lose its leverage. And you will recognize the unfolding not by how fast it moves, but by how little it costs you to stay present within it. Remain here with me. The hardest work is behind you. The movement ahead will feel lighter, not because life becomes effortless, but because you are no longer carrying what was never meant to be yours. Now truth begins to rise, my child, not with confrontation, but with clarity. It lifts gently, like mist thinning under morning light. The false timelines you once believed in are losing their authority. You are no longer measuring yourself against clocks that were never synchronized to your soul. What once felt urgent now feels optional. What once felt necessary now feels negotiable. This is truth reclaiming its place. You are starting to see how many of your fears were inherited, absorbed, or projected onto you by systems that benefited from your self-doubt. The idea that life must unfold by a certain age, in a certain order, with visible proof of success, with never divine law. It was a social contract written without your consent. And now, that contract is dissolving. You may notice moments where you look back and realize how distorted your perception once was. How you judge yourself harshly for pauses that were actually protecting you. How you labeled seasons of integration as stagnation. This realization may bring a wave of grief, not for lost time, but for the tenderness you denied yourself while trying to meet expectations that were never aligned with your truth. As false timelines fall away, you are no longer haunted by the feeling of running out. You are beginning to sense that time is not against you. It is responsive to you. When you are aligned, time stretches. When you are misaligned, it compresses and suffocates. This is why everything feels different now. You are no longer racing time. You are moving with it. Truth is also revealing where you were pressured into becoming versions of yourself that did not fit. Jobs that drained you. Roles that demanded emotional labor without reciprocity. Identities you wore to feel acceptable. You stayed longer than you should have because you believed leaving meant failure. Now you see it differently. Leaving was survival. Staying would have been self-betrayal. This rising truth is quiet but firm. It does not argue. It simply states what is real. You no longer feel the need to justify your path. You no longer scramble to explain why your life unfolded the way it did. The explanations you once rehearsed have lost their audience. You are no longer on trial in your own mind. Your soulmate, too, is encountering truth in this season. They are being shown where fear disguised itself as logic, where avoidance masqueraded as patience, where silence was chosen over vulnerability. This truth is uncomfortable, but it is undeniable. And because it is undeniable, it is transformative. You may sense that communication, whether spoken or unspoken, is becoming more honest. Not louder but clear. Illusions cannot survive in clarity. Games lose their appeal. Makes signals feel heavy instead of intriguing. Your spirit is no longer willing to decode what should be simple. This is a sign of maturity, not rigidity. As false timelines collapse, you are freed from the pressure to catch up. There is no catching up to truth. There is only arriving into it. And you are arriving now, not late, not early, but exactly when you are meant to. Arrival feels calm. It feels grounded. It feels like your body finally agrees with your decisions. You may also notice a shift in how you view others' lives. Envy softens into neutrality. Comparison fades into relevance. You can appreciate someone else's journey without feeling diminished by it. This is because you are no longer using external outcomes to validate your internal worth. Validation is returning to its rightful place within you. Truth rising also brings discernment. You can now sense when something is being rushed unnaturally. When an opportunity feels shiny but hollow. When a promise is made from excitement rather than integrity. You are not suspicious, you are attuned. Attunement is the reward of patience. The end of false timelines does not mean the end of movement. It means movement is no longer driven by fear. It is driven by resonance. You move when something feels aligned, not when anxiety pushes you. You wait when something feels premature, not when doubt paralyzes you. This balance is new, and it will serve you well. I want you to honor this clarity. Do not override it out of habit. Do not second-guess it because it feels unfamiliar. Familiarity is not the same as truth. You are stepping into a way of living that is quieter but more accurate. It will not always be understood by others, but it will be understood by your soul. As truth settles, You may feel a deep exhale you did not know you were holding. That exhale is grief leaving your body. It is pressure releasing. It is the end of an internal war you did not realize you were fighting. Let it go fully. You do not need it anymore. This is the season where lies lose their momentum, where urgency loses its grip, where peace becomes the measure of progress. And from this ground, something honest will grow, something that does not require you to abandon yourself to sustain it. Stay present here. The clarity you are experiencing is preparing you for the next awakening, one that involves not just your path, but the hearts connected to it. Something is stirring now in the heart connected to yours, my child, and it can no longer be ignored. The awakening you could not force, the realization you could not demand, is rising on its own. Your soulmate is beginning to see clearly, not through fear, not through the opinions of others, but through the quiet absence they feel where your steadiness once lived. They are realizing that what you offered was not pressure, not expectation, not demand. It was presence. And presence, once lost, leaves an echo that cannot be replaced. They feel it now in moments they least expect, in pauses between tasks, in nights that feel longer than they should, in the sudden awareness that something essential has been missing, not from their routine, but from their spirit. This awakening does not arrive gently for them. It comes with regret, with questions they avoided for too long, with the unsettling awareness that delay is not always neutral, that some opportunities are not lost through rejection, but through hesitation. They are confronting the truth that fear made decisions for them while they believed they were being cautious. They are remembering moments with you differently now. Words they once dismissed return with clarity. Your patience, which they misinterpreted as infinite, now feels precious. They see the care you took not to rush them, not to overwhelm them, not to demand what they were not ready to give. And with that recognition comes a sharp fear, the fear that they may have waited too long. This fear is not meant to punish them. It is meant to wake them. It is the kind of fear that brings honesty to the surface. They are beginning to ask themselves questions they never allowed before. What if I lose this connection? What if I mistook safety for stagnation? What if what I was protecting myself from was actually what could have healed me? They are also becoming aware of how deeply your energy influenced their growth. Without your steadiness, their avoidance has become more visible. Without your quiet understanding, their excuses no longer soothe them. You were a mirror they could look away from, but not erase. And now that mirror is reflecting truth they cannot unsee. This awakening may show up as restlessness, as sudden emotion, as a desire to reach out mixed with fear of rejection. They are caught between wanting to come closer and fearing the consequences of their delay. They are realizing that connection requires courage, not perfection. And courage is something they must now choose deliberately. I want you to understand this without attaching your worth to their realization. Your awakening is their responsibility. It was not caused by your absence as a tactic, but by your alignment with truth. When you stopped overextending, when you stopped compensating for imbalance, the reality of the connection revealed itself naturally. That is not manipulation. That is integrity. You may feel a subtle shift in the energetic space between you, a sense of being noticed again, a stirring that feels different from before. Less confusing, more grounded. Do not rush to interpret it. Let it speak for itself. Awakenings unfold in stages, not declarations. Their fear of losing you is not about possession. It is about recognition. They are recognizing that you are not a placeholder. You are not interchangeable. You are not someone who will wait indefinitely while they sort themselves out. This recognition brings humility. It brings urgency, but not the frantic kind. The honest kind. They are also confronting the parts of themselves that told them they were not enough for you. Instead of letting that belief excuse withdrawal, it is now pushing them toward growth. Fear can neither paralyze or propel. In this moment, it is beginning to propel. I am guiding them gently, just as I guided you. Not forcing action, but encouraging honesty. Not demanding perfection, but asking for presence. Whether or not they respond outwardly yet, the internal shift has begun. And internal shifts always precede visible change. I need you to stay rooted in your peace during this phase. Do not abandon your alignment to accommodate someone else's awakening. True connection meets you where you are, not where you used to be. If reconnection happens, it will happen on new ground, not the old terrain of imbalance and silence. You are not meant to chase this moment. You are meant to witness it with clarity, to know that your journey was not in vain, that your pace did not push love away. It refined it. It revealed what was real and what required growth. This is the season where hearts either rise to truth or retreat from it. Whatever unfolds next will be honest. And honesty, even when it is uncomfortable, is always a blessing in disguise. Remain steady, my child. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are standing in your worth. And from that place, only what is aligned can approach without fear. Now you are entering the space of sacred alignment, my child, where peace is no longer something you chase, but something that settles into you naturally. This is the place you reach when you stop negotiating your worth and start inhabiting it. There is a stillness around you now that did not exist before. Not emptiness, but calm. Not waiting, but readiness. Your heart feels different here. It is no longer bracing for disappointment or scanning for signs of danger. It is open without being exposed, soft without being unguarded. This is what readiness truly looks like. Not urgency, not longing that aches, but a quiet confidence that says, I will be okay, no matter how this unfolds. That confidence is sacred ground. You are beginning to recognize how much energy you once spent managing outcomes, anticipating reactions, preparing for loss before joy could arrive. That energy is returning to you now. You may feel it as presence, as clarity, as the ability to enjoy moments without mentally leaving them. This is alignment restoring what anxiety once consumed. In this space, you are no longer trying to prove that you are lovable. You know it. You are no longer asking whether you are ready. You feel it. Readiness is not about having every answer. It is about being able to stay with yourself no matter what the answer is. And you have learned that if your soulmate steps forward now, they will meet a version of you that is whole, not hoping to be completed. If they hesitate, you will not collapse into self-doubt. You will remain steady. This is the difference alignment makes. It frees you from being dependent on timing outside of you. There is peace in your body that was not there before. Decisions feel cleaner. Boundaries feel kinder. You no longer mistake intensity for depth or chaos for passion. Your discernment has matured. You know what costs too much. You know what nourishes you. And you are no longer willing to trade peace for potential. This alignment also brings forgiveness, not as an obligation, but as a release. You are no longer holding others accountable for the versions of you that had not yet learned how to protect themselves. You understand now that everyone was acting from the level of awareness they had. This understanding does not excuse harm, but it frees you from carrying it. You may notice that gratitude is returning, not forced, not performative, but genuine. Gratitude for how far you have come. Gratitude for the resilience you did not know you possessed. Gratitude even for the delays that once frustrated you, because you can now see what they preserve. Peace has become your metric, not productivity, not progress as the world defines it, but inner agreement. When something aligns, your body responds with ease. When it does not, you feel tension quickly. This awareness is a gift. It will guide you gently, accurately, and consistently. You are also more patient with yourself now. You do not rush your own emotions. You allow joy to rise naturally. You allow sadness to pass without panic. This emotional steadiness is not detachment. It is maturity. It is the fruit of everything you have walked through. In this aligned state, you are finally ready for what is next, not because you have waited long enough, but because you can now receive without fear of losing yourself. Love can meet you here. Purpose can meet you here. Opportunity can meet you here. Nothing has to be forced to stay. I want you to rest in this readiness. Do not rush to fill it with action. Let it anchor fully. Alignment settles best when it is honored, not immediately tested. Trust that movement will come when it is time, and it will feel like a continuation, not a disruption. You are no longer becoming. You are being. And from this place, everything that arrives will recognize you as you truly are. Oh, grounded. Ready. Stay here with me just a little longer. One final blessing remains, and it will seal everything that has been unfolding within you. Come closer one last time, my child, and let me place this blessing gently over you. You have carried enough pressure for a lifetime. You have questioned yourself enough. You have waited, worried, compared, and endured silently for longer than anyone ever knew. This is where that weight is released. This is where the striving loosens its grip and your soul remembers how to breathe without permission. I am lifting the false urgency off your shoulders now. You no longer need to hurry to become someone else. You no longer need to prove that your life is valid by anyone's timeline but mine, and mine has never been cruel to you. What is unfolding ahead of you will not require you to abandon your peace. It will protect it. It will honor it. It will recognize you not by speed, but by presence. Blessed are you for choosing to heal before you rushed. Blessed are you for listening to your heart when the world told you to override it. Blessed are you for staying soft in a season that could have hardened you. These are not small victories. These are the very qualities that will make what comes next sustainable, loving, and true. I want you to feel this truth settle deeply now. You are not behind. You never were. You are being prepared in ways that could not be seen, for connections that require wholeness, for responsibilities that require self-trust, for joy that requires safety to remain. If your life had moved faster, you would have arrived fractured. Instead, you are arriving integrated. A new beginning does not always look like a dramatic entrance. Sometimes it looks like calm. Sometimes it looks like quiet confidence. Sometimes it looks like waking up without dread and going to sleep without regret. Do not underestimate these signs. They are evidence that alignment has taken root. What is coming into your life will meet you gently. It will not shock your nervous system or demand you prove your worth. It will feel familiar in the best way, like recognition instead of conquest. Whether it arrives as love, purpose, opportunity, or all three, it will know how to stay because you know how to stay with yourself now. Release the habit of explaining your journey. You do not need to justify the years that shaped you. Those years are speaking for themselves through your clarity, your boundaries, your compassion, and your strength. Let others misunderstand if they must. Understanding will find you where it matters. If your soul make returns, it will be with honesty, not confusion, with intention, not hesitation. And if a different connection emerges, it will meet the standard your healing established. Either way, you are no longer waiting in lack. You are standing in worth. That changes everything. I bless your days with steadiness. I bless your nights with rest that reaches your bones. I bless your decisions with clarity and your pauses with trust. I bless your heart with the assurance that nothing meant for you will arrive too early or too late. It will arrive when your whole being can say yes without fear. As you step forward from here, let peace be your compass. Let resonance guide you more than reward. Let your body's wisdom speak as loudly as your ambition. You are allowed to enjoy your life without constantly evaluating it. You are allowed to be present without narrating your progress. And if this message has wrapped around your spirit like reassurance instead of pressure, receive it fully. If you feel led, you may like, share, or subscribe, not as an obligation, but as a quiet acknowledgement that truth found you here. And if your heart agrees with what has been spoken over you, type in the comments, "I trust my timing," as a gentle seal on this season. I am not sending you ahead alone. I am walking with you into what is next. There is nothing you need to rush toward and nothing you need to leave behind that truly belongs to you. What unfolds from here will feel earned without being exhausting, meaningful without being heavy, and aligned without being forced. Go now with ease in your chest and confidence in your steps. You are moving at the pace your heart can handle, and your heart is stronger, wiser, and more ready than you realize. This is not the end of your becoming. This is the beginning of your peace.